Well, good afternoon, everybody. I want to remind you that we are recording and streaming this today, as we hope to. We've scheduled a vote for our recommendation for the board. So, I want again, very important that your attendance today, and so I want to convey my appreciation and your efforts in being here today. So, I will share my screen and quickly review the agenda. So if you remember, when I sent out the invite, I included some notes from the discussion that we had in our meeting in April, discussing the preschool and the IECE component, and potentially removing that and letting special ed cover those students that are identified for services, and as well as potentially expanding that grade band to third grade. And so, based off of my call with multiple calls with OCEAL, they indicated that the LBD and MSD standards are one, do not include the early childhood component. So they do not. It would be a completely different set of standards for from birth to 8. And so currently they do not have permissions or not trained to cover those individual students at in the preschool level. So that is a barrier for that. And then from the P3 or the preschool through third approach was a major concern for a very similar reason. Preschool and grades K through K through 3 have multiple standards that aren't addressed in each one in preparation. So one, it would require more coursework, and so afraid that would be a barrier as well in either limiting or creating more of a shortage. And we know that IECE and special ed, both those are challenging positions to hire on an annual basis. So based on that, wanted to have a short discussion on those pieces, but then come to a decision on for the vote today. What, based on that in our discussion from April, I'm proposing to the group and see how you feel about it. But rather than go to the P3 and lock everyone in to multiple standards that they would have to train for in their pre-service preparation, to do what we've done with a similar approach in our discussion is create a pathway for them to add that 1 through 3. So keeping the pre-KK where it is at, but then adding the 1 through 3 endorsement as a recommendation. So then it would allow EPPs the flexibility to add that component, but also add that component for the individuals, that they could do it either in pre-service or at a later date. So open the floor for discussions, concerns, other recommendations, and we'll see what you have to say.
Todd, I really think that's a good way to do it. I think having the additional opportunity to add the endorsement would allow those students that can do that to include it, and also, leaving the pre-KK the way it is, which I think will help EPPs. So.
And so we've gotten some good feedback from our EPP folks. I know your group discussed this at length with you, and so I, if I remember correctly, they like that approach as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's Jackie.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Who's?
Just so I'm understanding, it's Nick Brooks. Just so I'm understanding, would those endorsements go both ways? So if I'm early elementary certified, can I get an endorsement to go down? And if I'm PK, can I get an endorsement to go up? Is it both ways or just one direction?
So we can discuss that if we want to do that. I think we can actually take that to the board later at a later date, but we already have the probationary pathway for IECE for preschool. So there's already a pathway for them to add that component. So, but we could definitely discuss other potential options. Jackie, what's your thoughts on this, since this is closely related to your world?
I understand the hesitation that OSIL's brought forth for sure. I mean, we
Mhm.
already have not just the standards differences, but we do have shortages statewide that aren't going to be fixed overnight by just changing the certification. So I understand the hesitancy, but I do like the addition of the endorsement, because that's still going to allow for more flexibility for our pre-service teachers to obtain that additional certification should they desire to. And I'm looking at your notes ahead of time, the feedback from teachers or in the program seemed to be that they wanted some flexibility and had some definite desires for specific grade bands.
And so, being able to add elementary, it goes quite a bit further, than the 1 through 3 endorsement may do so. I think the biggest component that I like with the 1 through 3 is that with the emphasis on numeracy and literacy, and for those early grades, that they can really address those in that preparation as well. So, other thoughts? Any concerns? Use my wait time. Elizabeth, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Have you had a chance to talk with your IECE folks to see what their thoughts are on potentially adding the endorsement or expanding?
We'll have to get Cal's gonna bring in
Todd, are you talking to me, Elizabeth Jenkins?
Yes, yes.
So I don't have an IECE program.
Okay.
So for me, I think the endorsement route, rather than, you know what I mean, that works
Right.
for us.
Yeah.
I mean, it is an interesting thing for us to consider. Would then we want to offer the endorsement as a bonus
Mm-hmm.
or something? Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I agree with what Sue said in general. The more flexibility, like the addition of an endorsement gives our students flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that's always a benefit. And that's something they always are interested in.
Right. Okay.
And I guess our faculty were afraid that too, that we may lose early childhood people if they need to add through the 3rd grade. And so they were kind of concerned it may have the opposite effect if so that's where the extra endorsement would be helpful.
Yeah. So create the pathway to do that, to gain that grade span, right? But then not lock everybody into it. Okay. All right. One last opportunity. Any other concerns or comments?
Todd, this is Robin. I was gonna say that, I agree with allowing them for the endorsement. I think anytime that we can give any type of opportunities for those that want to expand, we should. I don't think we should try to force, like she just said, you don't want to do something that deters from someone wanting to obtain that degree. We're already struggling and trying to get people in this profession. And so I think there is even though you can say to people, you don't have to go all the way up to 3rd grade. People get nervous when they add certifications. And I think you and I've talked a little bit about, I've even had in recent years, people removing certifications because they don't want to be forced into those grades.
Indeed. Anyone else? All right. Well, at this time, we'll move to the voting process. The way we're going to do this today is we're going to vote on each grade band individually, just to make sure that everybody's all on the same page. And so, as you can see, can everybody see my screen with the graphic? Okay, great. With essentially what we've discussed is the pre-KK, we'll keep it the same, and then add the 1 through 3 endorsement on a second vote, and then third we'll do the K6 as we discussed previously, and then 4-9, and then a vote on 7-12 for the high school. So any discussion that anyone that wants to bring up for the overall proposals right now, please feel free to jump in.
Todd, quick question here.
Okay.
Just for clarity. So I see the grade bands here in front. So we're going to go one by one.
Yes.
And are we going to put it in the chat, or is there going to be a?
Sharon Salzman is going to, she's going to she's going to call out, do basically a roll call vote, and
okay.
you'll answer yes or no. I was going to get to that here in a minute, but yes, you'll indicate whether you agree by saying yes, or no if you feel like it is not what you want, or there's concerns, or we need to have deeper discussions and maybe look at a different route. So
okay. And so a follow-up question is, I see these bands, but like, are we going to be voting as an example? Like right now, I guess we have what, an 8-12 band?
yes, currently it's 8. Yeah, currently it's 8-12, and I'll touch base on that before each vote, what we currently have and what we're switching to.
Okay. All right. And so I guess here's my so it sounds like these are the recommendation, or kind of what we think is the recommendation, right? The most, okay. And I guess if for some reason one of these bands gets voted down, then what's our next step there?
Well, we'll deal with that if it gets to that point. But if we have to have deeper discussion, and we can have that today. But if we deem it's necessary to go deeper into it and do some other additional research or whatever, then we just want to try to get to consensus today. So
yeah, no, that's good. And then my final question, just again, clarity, this 1-3, the purple, is that an endorsement or is that an actual?
That's the endorsement. Yes.
Right. But everything else is an actual certification band of itself, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Got it. All right. Thank you.
And just to clarify, so for example, the K6, if I had that certification and in our district, the 6th grade is in a middle school configuration, that would allow me to teach 6th grade, given I had the certification, correct?
That's correct. Based on the grade bands.
Thank you.
And I have a question about 4-9.
Okay.
Did we talk about content specialization in that space?
Yes. So if they're moving down to the elementary, they would be limited to content. At least that's the based on the recommendation, and from the group, would be that they would be limited to those content areas. So if they were certified in middle school English and social studies, then those would be the 2 contents they could teach at those departmentalized courses. It would not be just teaching self-contained elementary.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? Okay, we'll move to the voting. As I said, Sharon Salzman will call on each person. And so you can indicate a yes or no vote, and we'll be voting on the pre-KK, just keeping it the same as we have today. And so Sharon, if you want to go ahead and start with the voting process.
All right, I'm going to go down through the list of names. I know there are a few that aren't here, but I know there's a few phone numbers out there, and I'm not sure who those belong to. So if the person's not here, we'll just skip over those.
And these are in alphabetical order by last
last
name.
name.
So just so everybody knows.
Yes. Okay, so this is pre-KK. Nick Brooks.
Yes.
Meredith Brewer.
Yes.
Amanda Butler. Melanie Callahan.
Yes.
Ginger Carter.
Yes.
Carmela Clark.
Yes.
Rob Clayton.
Yes.
Thomas Klaus. Robin Cochran.
Yes.
Aaron Davidson. Senator Matthew Deneen.
Yes.
Elizabeth Dinkins.
Yes.
Kay Dixon. Amanda Ellis.
Yes.
Bart Fleener. Shannon Fryer. Althea Hurt. Philip Johnston.
Yes.
Susan Kesey.
Yes.
Jamie Noshel.
Yes.
Millie McIntosh. Justin Mitchell.
Yes.
Stacy Noah.
Yes.
Amy Riley.
Yes.
Eileen Shanahan. Stephanie Sullivan. Jonathan Thomas.
Yes.
Representative James Tipton. Representative Tim Truitt. Megan Warder. Jacqueline Williams.
Yes.
Everyone voted yes.
All right. So we'll move on to the endorsement now. Again, this does not exist, so we would be recommending the board consider a 1 through 3 endorsement to allow those individuals in pre-KK to add an additional credential.
Nick Brooks.
Yes.
Meredith Brewer.
Yes.
Melanie Callahan.
Yes.
Ginger Carter.
Yes.
Carmela Clark.
Yes.
Rob Clayton.
Yes.
Robin Cochran.
Yes.
Senator Matthew Deneen.
Yes.
Elizabeth Dinkins.
Yes.
Amanda Ellis.
Yes.
Philip Johnston.
Yes.
Susan Kesey.
Yes.
Jamie Noshel.
Yes.
Justin Mitchell.
Yes.
Stacy Noah.
Yes.
Amy Riley.
Yes.
Jonathan Thomas.
Yes.
And Jacqueline Williams.
Yes.
And everyone voted yes.
Okay. So I'm going to make a proposal here. So Sharon, there's Shannon Fryer
Got it.
that just jumped in. So We can circle back if we want to on those other votes, just to make sure we get her voice on that.
Okay.
Is anyone opposed to doing the K6, 4, 9, 7, 12 as one vote? Or would you prefer to do them as individual grade band vote?
I'm good with them together.
Same.
I'm good with them together as well.
Okay.
Agreed.
So, all right. So then this next vote will be voting for K6, which right now we have currently K5. We can do sixth grade if self-contained or if it's in the same building as fifth grade. So that would make that a permanent change that it's K6 across the board. And 4-9, which currently it's 5-9, so it would be adding grade 4 to the credential. Again, those going down to elementary, and 4 and 5 would be limited to their content areas. And then 7-12, which 8-12 is the current grade band, so it would expand that one grade level down. So K6, 4-9, and 7-12. Go ahead, Sharon.
Hey, Todd, can I have a quick question?
Sure.
Just to make sure I'm remember correctly. So this
Mhm.
is strictly for new certifications, correct? It's not retroactive on folks who already have a 5-9 certification.
So we'll have to talk with the board about how we can move in the future on that. So that's part of this work group discussion as well. Once we get to the recommended grade bands, how we can move all of our old certifications into one model versus having, right now we have 9 different elementary credentials. And so I know that's a nightmare for you guys at the school level. And so trying to streamline that as much as we can. So we'll have those discussions in the future. Yes. Any other questions or concerns?
Yeah, Todd, I have a question. I apologize
Okay. Sure.
if I'm not remembering something. I'm wondering about the science subjects
Mm-hmm.
generally associated at the high school level versus that 7th, 8th, or like how would that transfer? Because middle school science is one thing versus biology, chemistry, physics.
You mean going up or
Going down.
going down?
Well, or going up, actually, I guess both. Like,
so right now it's 8th grade, right? So it would work the same way down to 7th, unless, and I mean, so when we get into permissions, those discussions, that's something else we can discuss as well. So
okay, yeah, I just think that's I'm just thinking about praxis exams and content and stuff. If
yeah, so if they take
probably going up too, for
right.
example. Like,
Yeah,
is this only a going down component for science? Because they wouldn't, you know what I mean?
Going down would be the easy one. So right now we already have that highly qualified that they qualify for, not to be redundant in qualifying, but it already allows that because you've taken the highest level praxis. So nothing would change with that. It would still, if it's the higher level praxis, it's going to cover till down to 7th grade, essentially.
But the lower level praxis, then we'd expect them to do something higher, or is that we're going to work that out in permissions? I'm all for this. I'm just trying to think it from an EPP perspective, like how we would work this out with our students.
So for the 4-9, it would be essentially what they're doing now.
Right.
And so essentially nothing would have to change unless they want to add a credential. So if they're 4-9 and they want to move up, right now it requires, through the highly qualified route, requires a higher level praxis. So that would still be in play.
I'm wondering about this, about the 7-12 with the sciences only, right? Because the 9-12 sciences are not science. It's secondary biology, secondary chemistry, secondary physics. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a 7th grade science teacher and there's a need for a 10th grade biology teacher, do you see what I'm like? Is that a qualification that happens, or is there going to be a praxis exam expected? That's what I'm just trying to think about. Like if this band is encompassing all those things, science is just unique because at the high school level, we have just discrete subjects within science.
So it's not clicking. Sorry. Sorry.
Okay.
So,
It's okay. We can figure it out. I feel sure of
okay.
it, but it is something I think we're going to have to think through in the preparation space.
Right. But I think some of those permission discussions we have and how we prepare science teachers, if that's a different approach in the future, may help with that as well.
Okay.
So those some of the things we've talked about as far as how we can change that and make that a little bit easier route for hiring and qualifying for certain courses.
Yeah, that may be in terms of like what we count as a major kind of a thing.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Sharon, I think Millie McIntosh joined as well.
I've got her.
So,
Hey, guys.
hi, Millie.
Hi.
Okay, Millie, we're going to, I don't know if you were on when we mentioned it a minute ago, we were doing great band specific voting, and we're going to encompass all the last three, the K6, 4, 9, and 7, 12 all together in one vote. So we're doing a yes, no vote when you're called upon. So Sharon will call out the votes.
Right. Nick Brooks.
Yes.
Meredith Brewer.
Yes.
Melanie Callahan.
Yes.
Ginger Carter.
Yes.
Carmela Clark.
Yes.
Rob Clayton.
Yes.
Robin Cochran.
Yes.
Senator Matthew Deneen. Senator Deneen, are you still with us?
I think we lost him.
Yes.
Oh, there he
Okay.
is.
Did you hear me?
Yes.
Gotcha. Thanks. Elizabeth Dinkins.
Yes.
Amanda Ellis.
Yes.
Shannon Fryer.
Yes.
Philip Johnston.
Yes.
Susan Kesey.
Yes.
Jamie Noshel.
Yes.
Millie McIntosh.
Yes.
Justin Mitchell.
Yes.
Stacy Noah.
Yes.
Amy Riley.
Yes.
Jonathan Thomas.
Yes.
Jacqueline Williams.
Yes.
That was all yeses.
All right, Sharon, do you want to go back and let Millie and Shannon
Yes.
vote on the other two?
Yes. So we have the pre-KK that you will vote on first. So Shannon Fryer for
Yes.
pre-KK. Okay. Millie McIntosh.
Yes.
Okay. And now we will vote on the 1 through 3 endorsements. This is first through third grade endorsement. Shannon Fryer
Yes.
and Millie McIntosh.
Yes.
All votes yes.
All right. Unanimous. So, Rob, that answers our question. So how to move forward now? So first of all, again, I want to thank you all. I can't thank you enough right now for the work that you've put in on this work so far. I think we've done a ton of work over the last few months and gotten to a good place in a very short time compared to what other states have had to do. And so I don't think we're short selling it. I think we've done a good job with the research and the discussions we've had. So moving forward, I will put together a staff note for our board and present this as a recommendation to our EPSB board in June, on June 17th, and let them take that, into discussion for, their final action. And then future meetings, we will start to get into some of the permissions discussions, the sciences, those types of things that really will impact ed prep. But we know we're not getting those content areas covered right now. Extreme shortage in some areas, so try to figure out ways that we can, one, move to a different approach, but not compromise the profession and our pre-service preparation. So if anyone have anything that they want to share or comments before we wrap up and adjourn?
Just thank you to Todd and Sharon and their team and all the work that they put into making this where we are now to be able to go before EPSB. So thank you all.
Thank you. All right, well, we'll call it a day then. I again apologize for doing this on a Friday. I'll have to be completely forthcoming that I looked at the calendar wrong, and so I thought I was looking at Thursday through the type of calendar where Microsoft changed it. So another appreciation for you jumping in on a Friday before a holiday. So and those of you wrapping up for the school year. So that adjourns our meeting. Again, a huge thank you to each of you and what you've done in participating for this group.